So if you've ever been curious around where the most expensive real estate is in the Central Florida area, today we're gonna be diving into just that. I'm gonna give you an overview of the top 5 zip codes, the amenities, what makes them special, the quirks and features, if you will. Let me know if you got that reference, just in case you might be actually considering moving to any of these areas. Coming in at number 5 is the 32827 zip code, good old Lake Nona. I've talked about Lake Nona a lot on this channel if you're not familiar. It is going to be in Orange County, southeast Orange County, 10 minutes from the airport, not too far from Disney, about a 25-minute ride up to downtown Orlando. Plenty of things to like about Lake Nona, starting with the availability of great medical services through the near or over billion-dollar medical city with Nemours Children's Hospital, the VA, and other medical services throughout the area. They do have nice amenities as well, from Drive Shack to Nona Adventure Park to the different pocket parks throughout their communities, as well as the town center that is growing now, which is really nice to see. You got some nice restaurants in there. Chroma and the Havens Kitchen is currently my favorite. One of the consistent comments that I get when I bring people to the Lake Nona area is how clean it looks. I'm not sure if that's speaking to somebody out there, but it's just a really well-kept, really nice neighborhood with a lot of potential, even still with a lot of development that they bring in, because they have a huge focus on bringing in high-wage, high earning potential type companies versus the typical retail and hospitality, which leisure and hospitality takes up just about 19.8% of our employment base here in Central Florida currently. And so they're really making a push in the financial services, medical services, and fintech space, which I find really interesting, and it definitely supports the higher prices that we see there, a more affluent part of town for that reason. When you look at the real estate in Lake Nona, it's also one of its biggest drawbacks, apart from it being more expensive than the average price in Orlando, is the typical homes are sitting on smaller lots. And so that's also a consistent comment I've gotten from clients who are looking for a bigger yard. Initially, they might test it out to see if they really like it, but some folks end up saying, yeah, small lots are not for me. And so if you are that person that wants a huge backyard, you are going to be paying a premium to have that in Lake Nona. You are looking towards that average home price. It may be worth it to actually travel up north, 32827, where you can look at communities like North Lake, which I really love, really nice charm. But if you are looking on that south side for a newer home, you are going to be paying for the home, not necessarily for the lot. Coming in at number 4 is gonna be the 32814 zip code, which is Baldwin Park. And I gotta say, I said this over on my Instagram, I'll say it again. This is one of my favorite neighborhoods in Central Florida right now. It just has everything you would need. The most walkable area of town by far. You can literally hop out your house, actually walk to your grocery store, actually go walk to your gym, go walk for a breakfast, go walk for a coffee. Far one of the most well-executed master planned communities in Central Florida. The average sale price in Baldwin Park last year was right at $900,000. And really the main reason for that is because they don't have a lot of inventory. 101 home sales according to Aura last year. Compare that to 34787 Winter Garden, where they had 1,199 home sales. It is a stark difference. Not a lot of homes to sell. I remember back in the pandemic, there'd be like 3 to 4 homes at a time when we were really inventory stricken. This area is like one of those areas people don't leave. Also, it's a very active neighborhood. Like with the Katy Trail, you see a lot of people out and about running, biking, walking their dogs, chillaxing on the pier. Now, the drawback with Baldwin Park, because no area is perfect, right, is one, the price. But for that price, you're getting a much older home. When I say much older, don't get scared yet. I'm not talking 1950s or 30s, even though there's many things good about those homes in some ways, but you're talking like 2008, 2006. So you might need to do some updating of some kind to maybe bring it up to a more modern standard. Or you get less square footage, but again, the most important thing in real estate is location. So with the location here, if you really like the lifestyle, this is going to be an area that you would definitely want to consider. Coming in at number 3 is 32836, the Dr. Phillips / Bay Vista area, with an average price of $1,001,844. Now, I think this is definitely skewed because within this zip code is the coveted Golden Oak community, which can see some abnormally high sales for the Orlando area. And so that is also factored in here. which could kind of skew the price. But nonetheless, this is certainly not an affordable area to live in, and you will find that a lot of new construction homes, you're looking near this price, certainly in the high sevens, with the only new construction option currently being Parkview Reserve by Pulte, right next to the billion-dollar O-Town development. And on the topic of O-Town West, I think that's sort of the cool sort of duality that they got going on right now in Dr. Phillips, where you have the, I don't want to say old, but the existing Dr. Phillips that we all know and love, with the Lodgio and the Restaurant Row, and you have all these restaurants and nice areas to hang out in the community park. But then you have the newer side, which is O-Town West, with their expansion, new grocer, new retail, new restaurants, new hotels. Now, as it relates to the main drawbacks of Dr. Phillips, currently it has to be its infrastructure. The traffic, especially around that Sand Lake, Turkey Lake area, can be horrendous, even though that's not necessarily where this zip code is located, but it is going to be a part of your daily experience if you're in this area. And so you need to be prepared to sit in some traffic, especially if you're moving around the times of 4 to 5, because a lot of people are coming off and both going on I-4, which kind of creates the bottlenecking that currently happens. Now, like I spoke about in my Dr. Phillips versus Winter Park video, a lot of that stuff is changing. They are adding extra on-ramps and off-ramps to alleviate traffic, but that is more so a slow change over time. And so as time gets on, we should see better progress there, but currently I would definitely say it suffers somewhat with infrastructure. Now, coming in at number 2 is 32789, which is Winter Park. I kind of just alluded to it earlier with the comparison with Dr. Phillips, and I touched on this in my Winter Park versus Lake Nona video. Land. The value of Winter Park is in the land. You don't have a lot of space left for new construction. A lot of the new construction in Winter Park are custom built homes. They're not production like, you know, Lennar or Taylor Morrison or whatever the case may be. For this zip code, you really are looking at a custom home, or you're looking at a nicely remodeled one. But as far as amenities go, Winter Park has everything you would need. I've touched on this before in my Winter Park videos: the restaurants, the lifestyle, the parks, the golf courses. It's just a really cohesive community. The grocers even, you got the Trader Joe's, the Whole Foods, and the Publix. You got the trifecta, if you will. That's what I like to say. Potential drawbacks to living in 32789 is, one, you don't have a ton of gated communities. And so if that's really important to you, depending on your price point, you might be out of range for that. You might need to step over to their sister zip code, 32792, which is more affordable, and you have some options there as well. Also, you're not in an HOA, which for some people that is like hooray, hallelujah. But for some, if you want that kind of HOA with a lot of amenities type field within the specific community, you're not gonna find that a ton in Winter Park. A lot of these homes are like off the street and that kind of thing. But the flip side to that is that your whole city is like an amenity in and of itself. Like I said in that video that I did with the comparison to Lake Nona, Winter Park is like a destination for us locals to go to. And so being that it's your neighborhood, you have all those amenities right next to you, which is an amazing thing. Also, you get a greater variance in architectural style. So if you're kind of sick of the cookie cutter brown box styled homes, then Winter Park is going to be a neighborhood that you want to keep in mind. But without further ado, number 1, you may have guessed it, you may have not. Put your guesses in the comments. 34786. which is Windermere, with an average sale price last year of $1,202,000. Windermere is also an area I've covered before on this channel. Amenity-wise, you don't have that much. It's sort of the inverse of Winter Park in the way that you have a lot of gated communities in Windermere if that's what you're after. You do have really nice golf courses and golf communities that are renowned, like Isleworth Golf and Country Club. You got rec centers and public parks throughout Windermere. You got the nice downtown area with Paloma Coffee and some really nice shops, farmers market, food truck night, but it's not a lot and certainly nowhere near as robust of what's in Winter Park. And that's what a lot of people love about Windermere. It is a recluse suburb with really nice amenities sprinkled in, but majority of them found just outside the city. And so you're talking like going over to Dr. Phillips a lot. You're all about the lake life, or you just enjoy water sports, you really are going to love Windermere with the Butler chain of lakes. Been out there myself, probably one of the cleanest bodies of water that we have in Central Florida. And you don't need to buy a lakefront property to access that. You do have public boat ramps all throughout the neighborhood. But as it pertains to potential drawbacks to living in Windermere, especially if you're living in the city of Windermere, it's going to be that infrastructure. That one way in, one way out is not your friend at peak hours. Main Street can get quite backed up all the way out to Dr. Phillips, and so you are going to need to be selective about moving in and around those times. But all things considered, I can easily see why it's the most expensive place to live in Orlando. The location is great, proximity to the parks, the amenities, the reclusiveness, the comfort, and just overall a really great atmosphere, which is why homes there can fetch sale prices of $35 million, with more $35 and $30 million properties on the market currently. But look, if you're looking to live in any of these neighborhoods, whether most expensive or most affordable, I'd love to be the real estate agent in your corner. So feel free to shoot me an email, info@orlandowithmario.com, or if you want to call or book a time convenient to you, feel free to check out the description down below.